All right, here we go, Ramley. This is a big one. Welcome to Between the Horns, presented by your Southern California Toyota dealers. I'm JB, along with MJD and DeMarco Farr. The Buffalo Bills, already AFC East champions, are coming to SoFi Stadium this week. How you guys doing?
Good. Don't get scared. I'm not scared.
No?
I mean, you got to have a healthy respect. Again, just like Philadelphia. Good team coming to town, got to play your best football.
Healthy respect, or you kind of have to. I feel like sometimes you have to have a little nervousness to you. Like, if we don't play our best game, this can kind of get away from you a little bit. And it looks like it got away from the AFC East after like week 3, right? Like the Buffalo Bills stumbled a little bit early, and then they caught fire. And Josh Allen he's really not the guy that we've seen the last couple of years. They're running the football better than anybody right now.
MVP front runner for you if you had to choose right now?
No, I'm gonna go. You know me, running backs matter, so I'm gonna go with Saquon.
All right, DeMarco.
He's in the clubhouse. He's the clubhouse leader right now as MVP.
I like this opportunity right now for the Rams, though. Right? Like, sure, intimidating opponent, but like if you want to get in the dance, if you want to play for the ultimate prize, that's the potential AFC representative right there. Another chance to level up.
That's the crazy thing about professional football. I mean, when you have all your goals, or you want to control your destiny going into the playoffs, oftentimes you're going to bump into a pretty good team you have to beat that week. This is the same thing. So Buffalo's coming to town. I think they're playing their best football of the year. Let's hope the Rams can get there to, kind of fend that off in SoFi.
Yeah, to me, it was kind of like when you play like Ray Lewis or you play like Lofa Tutupu, who was with SC and these guys. And to me, it was like, how was my offseason workout? I'm going to put that to a test going against this guy, right? And I think it's the same for the Rams. How has your offseason, how has all the games before this prepared you for this game? Are you willing to stand up and stop the run? Can you get to the quarterback and get sacks, right? Can't allow him to break the pocket. Offensively, you're going to see some form of cover 2 and critical downs. Are you ready and prepared for those? And then can you run the football in your own right to get them to go to a single high safety and take care and really take advantage of Taylor Rapp in that situation, a guy that you know?
You know what's interesting is, tell me if you disagree, I don't think the Rams have played their best game yet. I don't think they've put a full game on display. There have been some partial candidates, but if you ask me, okay, the Rams that you were hoping to see coming out of training camp, which game have they played to live up to that billing?
I mean, the 4 touchdowns from Stafford twice has been pretty good. I thought, to be honest, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I thought New England, they had played their best. They were playing their best game until like that personal foul from Jared Verse, and they kind of went downhill a little bit. But other than that, they were smothered. I thought the Vikings was another tough opponent that you played really well against.
Vikings all here. Patriots.
Well, you got to remember, you're traveling across the country. You have to play a team who's beaten some pretty good teams in the NFL, and really, they took the Chargers to overtime. Like, they played well at home. They just played terrible on the road. But you take that if you're the Rams, right? You're taking a more physical opponent that at least that I thought would be more physical, and you went and took it to them.
I guess the easy answer is they haven't played their best game yet. I mean,
that's what I'm hoping
There's been elements of, Minnesota I thought was great. You came out of the gate. You answered Sam Darnold, who was absolutely hot. I'm right there with you at New England. I thought that was your best opportunity to play a complete game on both sides, and it kind of got away from you. It became a game at the end, but I still think they're searching. I think there was elements in New Orleans where you were really clicking on both sides, and then you let it be a game again. So we've seen it time and time again, but I still think their best game is out there. Yeah. And I do think you're going to need that to beat Buffalo this weekend.
Dare I say week 1 might have been their best game.
They lost.
Yeah, but you took Detroit to overtime in Detroit week 1, and then we've seen what Detroit's been able to do here down the stretch with what? Your third guy that your left tackle's not even on the roster.
But I hope your best performance leads to a win.
That's where I'm going.
Yeah, I hope your best performance isn't a losing effort. You know what I mean?
You know what's funny about that? Like they always talk about the process and thinking about the process, and like you really can't. The outcome sometimes is out of your control, if that makes sense. Like you can go out there and play your best game. Like you can go out there and be perfect, and then like 1 or 2 plays they're perfect, and then boof, the game is over, right? And so to me, for the Rams in this situation against the Buffalo Bills, you want to play your best game because this is time to play your best game. The outcome is going to be the outcome. You want to play
by week 14, 13, 14.
You should be,
you better be playing
revving up to play your best as you get down the stretch because, again, you want to get hot for the playoffs.
A couple things. One, at this moment in time, I think we have to celebrate climbing from 1-4 up the mountain to 6-6. Mm-hmm. The Rams have not yet been above 500, and that's part of the reason why I'm excited about this week is because I think that chance is there. But to get from 1-4 to 6-6, we all would have signed those papers immediately to have this chance with 5 games to go.
Totally. You have to give them credit climbing out of the cellar and just climbing out of, like you said, the pit of hell of professional football, being below 500. And here you are. It
puts the
with
lotion on its skin.
You know what I'm saying? It's crazy like that. Give them a lot of credit.
The silence of the lambs on between the horns.
But with the way you've played, you still got back to 500. So I see where you're going. You have to give them credit for it, but remember, you dug yourself a hole. So, but I think it all goes back to what we're saying. This team is still in search of their best performance of the year. And this is the most important time of the year. Was it Bill Parcells that says the season really doesn't get started until after Thanksgiving?
Oh, bro, that is...
Well, here we are. This is your first game after. Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
It's so crazy how much can change in like a 7-week span.
Right now. Yeah.
Right now. Like, you'll see all type of stuff going on, and one team will get hot, and they'll just make a run. Like, literally, we were talking about Hard Knocks before we started the show. The Cincinnati Bengals are like, look, we still got a chance. And the crazy part is, if they get hot, no one wants to play them in the AFC because they've beaten everyone in a given time. And so if you're the Rams, you feel the same way. Like, if we can get our best foot forward going and start playing consistent good football, you just never know.
I love echoes from the past, and we just looked it up before we started this show. Last year's Rams pattern was similar. They got hot at the end of the season. Where were they at 6-6? They had just beaten the Cleveland Browns, going on the road to face an AFC favorite, Baltimore. Now, they didn't win that game. They lost in overtime.
But they played
But that might have been their best performance of the season. So here they are again against an AFC contender. It's at SoFi Stadium this time around. Wouldn't it be nice if, again, they played like that and they finished the drill this time?
We're in the Matrix. Same thing again. Here we go. Same quarterback, same everything. That's one thing I guess I could say. To play your best game, Matthew Stafford has to be better. And that seems unfair to ask him to do more, but I think it is fair. If you want to talk about getting off to better starts, playing your best football, all that stuff, supplementing the defense, it all comes back to him. So if he's better and better early, I think you have a better shot. Because like you said with Buffalo, man, if you get behind them and they start that avalanche where he can't be stopped, his confidence is building, and they've got pass rushers to get to you, it's hard. It really is hard to dig yourself out of that hole. So the best thing is get ahead, stay ahead, and have your quarterback completing passes and staying on the field. That's got to happen.
We're off to an amazing start.
Yeah.
You know why?
Why?
Because we haven't even hit subject 1 on the script yet,
Yeah.
which I love because did I tell you he got us in trouble last week?
I did.
No.
Me specifically.
Oh, no. Why? What'd I do?
Well, it was Cameron, you, and Stu, right? Pre-Thanksgiving between the horns.
Yes.
You guys got out of here in 23 minutes.
Yes. And
Our boss was like, JB.
Part of that was editing, though, so we'll leave that alone.
When you run this show, it spills into like 45. No one's complaining in the comment section. It's rating
great.
well.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for having a long edition of Between the Horns anymore.
Not at all.
Thanks
Especially this late in the season, like you said, and you still have a chance to control your destiny. This is what we pray for.
Dare I say this is the first team's revenge game, though? Remember we had this whole deal with Von Miller set up a couple years ago, and Von he decides to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to go to Buffalo.
That was weird. Dropping the banners and then having Vaughn on the other side was strange.
Well, you already dropped Taylor Rapp. Are you going to go David Edwards too? Is that what you're talking
I'm just
about?
saying, those guys, it was kind of a different situation. Like, Vaughn had a chance to stay in L.A. and decided to go to Buffalo. So this is like if a Rams, like, hey, we got to get some get back for that.
All right, you want to go back to New Orleans for just a second?
Come on.
Like, help me decipher what to take away as a building block and what's just beating a team that's probably not ticketed for the playoffs. Where do we come down on the win over New Orleans?
Do you think New Orleans is bad?
I don't think they're bad.
Yeah, I think they're flawed.
Yeah.
I think they're missing
hurt.
some pieces and, been there as a player and broadcaster, whatever. So they're not bad. They're better than you think. So I think going down there and winning in New Orleans is always big, no matter what the records are. And they're pretty good when you get in their wheelhouse. And like you said, if you can't score early and then they start moving the ball on you, they kept you out there for an entire quarter. I know we want to give the offense some heat for being on the field for a minute, 2 seconds in the first quarter, but give New Orleans credit because they kept the defense on the field forever. So that's a tough place to dig yourself out of a deficit, and they did that. So give them a lot of credit. I know the records really matter, but it doesn't matter at kickoff. It matters who plays the best on game day. So getting that victory down there, I thought was huge. Give them a lot of credit on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, to me, I thought you having your two-back system kind of got going there. right? A little Blake Corum, he was running. Then all of a sudden, Kyron comes back, he starts running. Now you feel more comfortable, both guys in there playing, which again, I think is something that the Rams are going to use down the stretch, running the football a little bit better. The outside zone was there.
I was just about to say, what type of running team are the Rams?
Whatever they need to be. I feel like we can run downhill if we have to, but if it's not working, we can go sideline to sideline, and they're starting to utilize those. And the running backs are running harder. They're running better, right? They're breaking tackles. And to me, when you have two guys that can do that, takes a lot of pressure off your quarterback, a lot of pressure off your defense, right? You allow your defense to rest, and then your offensive line is going forward, which every offensive lineman wants to do because it's easier than obviously going backwards and pass blocking against a guy that's probably more athletic than you. So to me, getting that running game going, that was a huge building block, and obviously winning at the same time. But I think that was a step in being the team they want to be down the stretch.
All right, you're Ron Gold for this week, okay? You're the position coach for
sure.
that room. What's your mix? Like based on what we saw last week in New Orleans, Coach Gould tell us.
I'm a series for series. You get a series, you get a series. And then you know what? If there's a play specifically for a certain running back, get it. But this is your series because again, as we get down the stretch, I need guys fresh. We gotta be fresh in the fourth quarter. So it's time to go series for series. I think Blake's earned that, and I think Kyron, for the benefit of him, is you get a chance to get a little breather here and there. We're comfortable with it.
Let me talk trenches with you because when I try and decipher, all right, from the disappointment of Philly to the triumph in New Orleans, what's the difference there?
Offensive line?
Yeah,
or
what's both. What's closer to reality? And as much as we want to talk about Saquon, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You want to vote for him MVP, I'm good with that. But you told me before the game that was the biggest team you've ever seen in person, the Philadelphia Eagles.
They're monstrous.
Well,
And then I'm looking at New Orleans, and they're playing a backup center, a backup left guard who has to be replaced by a third, and a rookie left tackle. And I'm saying, okay, I can't compare this apples to apples with Alvin Kamara and Saquon Barkley because Philadelphia is the upper crust.
And they're good.
And New Orleans is just average.
Philly is hard to compare to anyone because they're so good on both sides of the football. They're just loaded. Their defensive tackles, I think, might be the best tandem in the league so far, run and pass. Offensively, do we need to say how good their offensive line is? So it's hard to go from Philly to New Orleans. But I thought how you blocked and the plays you called and the way you blocked versus New Orleans will work against anybody. I know this as a defensive tackle. The worst thing in the world you want to defend is zone running because there's no room for error. If I make one mistake and let the guard off, the ball's gone. Or if I get chopped down, the ball's gone. Running straight at me, good. We've got a shot. But when you're running that inside-outside zone with Kyron and Blake Corum, if you get to the free hitter before he's ready, he bounces off and away we go. So if you could stay with that sort of running, if you want to go series by series, great. But I think that sort of running, that inside-outside zone versus just about anybody will work if you keep your tempo and you have running backs that break tackles.
I'll say this. I thought the Philadelphia Eagles really started kind of what we saw in New Orleans. If you remember that first drive, those first couple drives, the Rams were up and down the field. It was easy. And then the Kyron fumbles, right? And you're like, oh, man, if he doesn't fumble, that's probably 7 on the board the way they were moving against Philly. And so to me, I think that gave them confidence in Sean calling the plays of what was been going on in the running game and the passing game, and then the players' confidence that they were moving up and down the field against one of the NFL's best. Then you go back to New Orleans, and you have that first half that was like, oh my gosh, like we can't get anything going. And you go into halftime, and I remember watching Sean do his interview, and he had a smile on his face, like, hey, we're gonna go in here and fix some stuff. And it was that confidence knowing that, look, we can play way better than this because we did it last week. Right, so if we can get back to that, and I think that's when we talk about getting hot. It's like even though you didn't win against Philly, you found something, right? And then you kind of doubled down on it against New Orleans. Now the chances this week is to do the same thing. Can you keep growing from what that performance in Philly was?
Let me ask you about one more position group because I'm trying to find the truth between off-ball linebacker play against the Eagles. It was not a good night for Roseboom and Spates. Win against New Orleans, probably their best game.
Highest graded linebacker.
So is that a bounce back? Is that a learn from mistakes? Or is that just level of competition being reflected in the results?
I learned when I got knocked on my butt.
Yeah, I learned when I got a whooping.
Yeah, I mean,
quickly.
Yeah.
All right, so be bullish on the middle linebackers for the Rams, growing together.
You learn what guys can and can't do in this league as a group, and what you guys are doing up front. So, I mean, like I said, Saquon Barkley taught you that you could start front side A and finish on the backside D and be gone, and we can't catch him. Kamara, same thing. So you're getting better. The guys you face, the more reps you take, the better you're going to get. I keep saying, no matter what happens this year, make the playoffs, don't make the playoffs. For what this defense has gone through, having to defend an offense that short circuits in the first quarter, and you have to keep the team in it, or you're being relied on to win the game at the end. To score. All the stuff they're going through is going to help them be a better defense in the future. Or it might be right now. It seems like they're coming together now. That relevance, the understanding of what it takes, what we need out of this series, this drive right here. You start to see guys communicate that and go out and execute. So they're gelling together as a defense, which is great. If you get some help from your offense in the first half of football games, this could be a completely different football season. You might be well above 500 right now if you had that. So you're going to need it. Yeah.
Let's take that point then. How do they go from good? Like they're a solid middle-class team in the National Football League right now. 6-6, that's how this league is built. How do they get to great? How do they get to NFC West champs? What are some of the ingredients that you need to see so that they win 4, if not 5, of these final games?
I think I already said it. It's for me, it's Matthew Stafford has to raise it up, especially on those first drives.
He has to be the best quarterback in the building
Yeah.
in games against Allen, Purdy, Rodgers, Kyler, Geno.
And I still think it's in there. I do. When we talk about him, it's glowing praise, and it's deserved. He is one of the best talents we've seen throwing the football, right? But on some of those first drives, you've got to be accurate. Some, like the first drive versus New Orleans, I think there were a few that should have been first down catches, move the chains, and that were a little bit off. It's incomplete. Now it's 2nd and 10. The down a distance I hate the most this year, tell me if I'm wrong, is 3rd and 3. I mean, 3rd and 3, if you're coordinating against the Rams, how much do you fear Kyron Williams on a 3rd and 3?
Not much.
Which means I'm sending everything I got at Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
So that's been the issue. So he's got to be accurate throwing the football to keep those 1st and 10s to 2nd and 2s to 3rd and 1s and make it easier for your offense to convert.
So if I could underscore something you just said there, within Matthew Stafford's portion of the program, handling pressure and 3rd down efficiency. Those are probably the 2 areas where he can elevate.
Look at Buffalo, look at Philadelphia. If it's 3rd and 3, I'm still scared to death. Because they roll out Hurts, he's got a run-pass option, or I hand it to Saquon, he picks it up. Same thing with Jared Allen.
But I think
or Josh Allen.
that's the difference, though. Like, Stafford's legs aren't an issue. You're talking about 2 guys that can run, right? To me,
then you got to be accurate. Yeah.
Well, you have to. I think the first part is you have to allow him to get into the game, right? Which means I thought the Rams tried to do it early on against New Orleans with the first play being a play-action play, get the ball out. But you should probably run the ball in the beginning just to get it and then have a quick hitch like we saw later on in the first half or the second half to throw a quick hitch out there to Puka Nacua with the corners playing off.
I think they wanted to get DeMarcus a touch right away. I don't know if you ran that to the wrong
New
depth.
Orleans?
Yeah, but I think that keeper game was like exactly what you said. Let's get Stafford a clean one. Let's make sure that DeMarcus coming off a tough week feels the football and he's engaged.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but I think the key for me, for them to get to where they want to get to is consistency, but it's consistency overall, right? Being consistent in every moment, in every situation, right? Starting fast, being consistent on your first time on the football field. Don't go 3 and out, right? Find a way to get a first down. Like I said, even if it's a quick shotgun hitch to Puka Nacua or a slant or something that you know that you can catch and get positive yards and shorten and like get ahead of the chains, those are things that are going to matter early in this game, and then get into the rhythm of the game. Because once the Rams got in rhythm, it was like doof, doof, doof.
I like the Philly start. If Kyron doesn't fumble, I think you pound that in and you change the complexion of the football game. So that's where I think the Rams' strength lies, is running, set up play action, and then letting this golden arm do its damage.
I got a couple of 3 to throw at you. The first, you know this from listening to me call games, I would double 2-2 snaps and targets and see what happens.
I think I said that. I don't know if we can. I think I said that like week 4.
On this show?
Yeah. Like, for whatever reason, he is always open.
Always open, and he's running off coverage. He's creating zone pockets for other players, and Buffalo plays a ton of zone. You mentioned Taylor Rapp's name. Now that the offensive line is intact, if you're building confidence in your ability to protect Stafford for vertical shots, he's the guy.
He was open against Chicago, and every other time he's been it's just like 4 yards of separation every time he catches the ball.
All right, the other name I'm concerned about or need to see elevate is Joshua Carty. Like I love going for it on fourth down early in the game. I like that from the plus 25. But you're not going to get to where you're trying to go if you don't have confidence in your kicker making high percentage field goals.
The one time I went to the playoffs, our kicker Josh Scobie tore his quad week 1. We had to sign John Carney, the kicker from the Saints, right?
Oh yeah.
And he was an automatic from between the 20. Well, we had to get to the 30-yard line. He was automatic. Like he was going to make it every time, which put us in 4-down territory once we got close to the 50 because we're not going to try to stretch his leg out. We're just going to keep going. That aggressiveness allowed us mentally though to know this is we're in a 4-down situation, and we just played better, and we actually went on a run and went to the playoffs, right? And so to me, I think sometimes, yes, young kickers go through it, but that's going to force McVay to be more aggressive in certain situations.
Which I like.
Which I love.
Trust your future Hall of Fame quarterback in an and 5 situation or less, as opposed to turning it over to your rookie kicker who hasn't made a field goal in a month, basically. I'm just saying there's going to come a time,
there will
perhaps as soon as this Sunday.
Whatever it is, he's got to make his kicks, and you've got to give him an op. But I refuse to believe a guy that young and that strong and that athletic can't make it from distance, if that was the issue. If he's got the leg.
Yeah, but if I need, that's for a game winner.
Yeah.
But if we're in the course of this game, we're going for it.
Yeah.
Because I like you said, regardless of whoever the kicker is, it could be Justin Tucker. I don't care. Like I have more trust in our quarterback and our offense than I do anybody, because that's where all our money's allocated to. The guys that we want to play. I want to keep that offense on the field as much as we can. Even when we threw the go ball on fourth down against New Orleans, like that's fine. I'll take that.
Well, especially this week when your opponent's scoring 30 points per game regularly, field goals aren't going to do it. So maybe this isn't the week, but you hear where I'm going with that. Let's talk some Rams personnel. And I wanted to touch on the secondary, too. They actually claimed a former first-rounder in Emmanuel Forbes Jr. this week, 16th overall pick in the 2023 draft. Doesn't sound like he's necessarily going to impact this week's game plan, but when you heard that news, any thoughts?
Well, it's funny when you don't see many first-rounders available this early from the team that drafted them, so you wonder why. But then you look at his dimensions and you consider who's there in Washington right now. He may not fit what Dan Quinn wants to do defensively, but for somebody else, he may be perfect. So I do know that Sean McVay said they had their eye on him for a while, and the more corners, the better. Because when you think about what's left this year, you still have to deal with Arizona, you still have to deal with Seattle, you still have to deal with Buffalo, but I'm not sure it's going to be ready that soon. But all these receivers coming up, the more corners you have, the more guys that you can sick on people and say, go man coverage or whatever, the better. Then great.
Yeah.
And to me, anytime you're adding talent, it's a positive.
Yeah.
Like, that's a talented dude. He was a first-round pick for a reason. I'm sure a lot of people had him on his board. He has to gain a little weight. He's a little, That's
well, if I were to ask you, Maurice, like, let's fast forward to April 2025, draft weekend. If I were to say the Rams are spending a first-round pick on defense, which position group would you say is most likely? So this is almost a free dart, right?
Yeah.
To get ahead of that process. It's the next level of their defense that we
Exactly.
figure they're going to invest in. So why not now? Let's talk Braden Fiske. He's been named Defensive Rookie of the Month for November, joining Jared Verse in that company. Is there any case for him over Verse? Not that it matters, but like sometimes your award competition comes internally as much as externally.
That was a fumble return for a touchdown.
Oh my God, I'm still mad.
That slide cancel was awesome.
And he cut back. Oh my God,
Yes,
cut back,
switched
switched the ball,
hands.
got like, and then how hard he was running. You could tell he was breathing heavy trying to get down that sideline.
Hold the oxygen out for him when he gets to the bench. Yeah, don't make him do it. Just put it on him. That's the big. I hope he does. That would be great if he does. Either way, it's great for us if Braden Fiske wins Defensive Rookie of the Year, because it would be awesome. It would be great recognition for him. It might also make Verse mad. Which is really cool.
Yeah,
so he's balling out of control. So give the award to his teammate. Yeah, he's in the Pro Bowl next year, which will be awesome.
Yeah, I think it's funny because like as much as Verse wants it, he probably doesn't want him to get it either though, because there were teammates like.
You'll never hear the end of it.
Yeah, it's just like
they compete in the weight room. They compete on the field. So that force multiplying effect
I'd walk
should
in the
mean
next day with it like right
good
here.
thing.
working out, just have it
Right
sitting there.
here, yes.
Kyron Williams is the Rams nominee for Walter Payton Man of the Year. That was cool to see the social video with Steven Jackson. If you haven't caught that, I recommend it. Kobe Turner was on The Masked Singer.
Yes, outstanding.
Man of many talents.
Yes.
What else we got? Tyler Higbee. We'll see if he returns this week.
Big rig.
When he does return, what do you think that adds to the Rams' playoff push?
I want to see what he's got. He's hadn't played football in a while.
It's tough at that position, right? To not have an off-season program
or it could be fresh
joint
legs.
practices.
Yeah, or it could be fresh legs. He could be ready to go and could be a spark for you. You never know.
I think he gives you in the passing game that guy that's going to catch that quick arrow. Like he just gives you more. It feels like Stafford's more confident throwing him the ball than he's been these other tight ends, which is understandably so because again that's the guy you've been throwing to for a while. He's been here. Well, he's the longest tenured Ram, right?
Yeah.
At this point,
You get a reliable tank back in your lineup.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Injury report, pretty good for both teams, actually. Rams and Bills both look pretty clean. Do you see that Micah Hyde is back, signed to the practice squad in Buffalo?
No way. Okay.
That to me says Super Bowl ambition.
Wow.
No question.
Right? Because
They're
he's
being
openly
aggressive.
spoken about bringing that Super Bowl to Buffalo. Never signed those retirement papers. There's like Eric Weddle undertones there in that move. I don't know that he's going to play this week, right? But they're preparing for January and February in Buffalo.
Yeah, let's mess that all up. That'd be fun. How about that?
We were talking pregame in New Orleans when the Commanders jumped out to that huge lead. It's like, there goes the wild card. I feel that way as we turn our attention to the playoff picture. They get to 8-5. I think it's NFC West or bust. We've kind of said that on this show for several weeks running. Is that where you guys are? Do you need me to look at the NFC wild card picture, or should we just go right to the West?
Go for it. I mean, if there's a chance for the wild card, I'd love to hear it.
Well, here's the thing. If for the Rams to have a look at the wild card, they're going to have to play so well
Yeah.
that they're going to mess around and end up winning the West anyway. So
you
it's
go.
a moot point.
Okay.
Which prize would you rather have, by the way?
The
whole
NFC
playoff.
West.
Yeah.
I've set the
West.
GPS for NFC West. Yes.
So I'm done scoreboard watching anywhere outside the division.
Fair enough.
Let's start with Seattle at Arizona. Seahawks 7-5 leading the way. They've had the better of this series against the Cardinals. Seahawks are undefeated since their bye. Arizona winless since theirs. How do you see that one breaking?
Well, Aaron Rodgers gave me another reason to hate him. You had him. you had Seattle and you couldn't get him. But no, I mean, I don't know how to pick between Seattle and Arizona. I think I trust Geno more than I do Kyler, but I am more afraid of Kyler than Geno, if that makes any sense.
I think the reason I would pick Geno was because of the surrounding pieces.
Yeah.
Right? And Jig was having a crazy season. You got Metcalf back. Tyler Lockett is always Tyler Lockett, finds a way to impact the game. And then they don't even run the football. Like, they refuse to run the football, but when they decide to, they still have that guy back there, those two guys back there that can run it. So, I mean, if you're looking at Seattle, it's always about the O-line. Can they protect? And I don't want to say they got one of their guys back, right?
Yeah, my question is, who do you root for this weekend if you're a Rams fan?
Oh, Arizona.
Because
Arizona.
I think.
the only argument I could make the other direction is that the Seahawks' schedule is more difficult. They've got Green Bay, Minnesota, at Chicago here in SoFi still to come, whereas the Cardinals have New England, at Carolina, Rams, and Niners. It doesn't really matter.
No. Okay.
Because when you're counting to 10 for the Rams, we've said this many times, I'm counting those last two games as gotta wins, right?
You got to win them anyway.
Like if the Rams don't have to win Week 18 and can rest starters, like I'll eat a chocolate bar on this show. You know how hard that would be for me to do, right? But
I'm still shocked by that. How do you not like chocolate? But never mind. Move
because
on.
they got
Yeah.
6, you
Yeah.
almost have to win at home those last couple. So can you get 2 of the next 3 to set up that scenario? That's what I'm looking at for the Rams. These next 3 weeks, can you get at least 2 of the next 3?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, let's start with one. Let's start with Buffalo. Wouldn't that be fun if you beat Buffalo here? Send the Mafia home early.
Yeah.
That would be nice. But it's like you said, it's not going to be easy, and this is the guy that you can't count out from any position. If he's ahead, if he's behind, whatever, run, pass, whatever. He is one of the best players in this league, talking about Josh Allen. So it's not going to be easy. And here's the thing. They actually believe they're going to make the Super Bowl. So not only are you going to have to break them, you're going to have to break their will. So, like, it's a full-time job.
How crazy is that, though? They lost all those pieces, let all those guys go, and got better, right? I think, again, what they've done is kind of something we want Stafford to do is they allow their running game to kind of dictate, and then he impacts the game every now and then. And that's the biggest thing because he's one of the biggest guys in the NFL. Like, he is their biggest threat. He's their biggest runner in the red zone. I will say this, though. Have we listened to Kyle Shanahan talk about the Niners lately? Like, is that like?
I did just buzz past San Francisco there. That's my bad.
Well, I'm just like, he was like, this is the worst team we've had. This is not like the other teams. Like, I don't think you should say that.
You're not buying what he's selling, or you just don't think that's a good?
I'm not buying. I think he's trying to motivate his guys to play better.
Which running back did you claim this week for fantasy football?
You already know who I claimed. He won't play next week, but this week he's going to play for sure.
Okay.
What are you talking
Garindo.
about? Oh,
Garindo.
that guy. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Back to the Bills. Like you guys said, their quarterback has, I think, overperformed against pressure. He's been nearly impossible to sack. And their team leads the NFL with a plus 17 turnover margin. That's their formula. So how do you kind of unwind some of those things to have a chance to beat them?
Every time I turn on the tape of Buffalo, especially their offense, it seems like he's always taking the ball in great field position. I don't know how or why. Maybe it's because they score kickoff. They're not that great in kickoff coverage, but tackles for loss, they do a great job. So not only are they getting you off the field, you're losing yardage at the same time, and then a decent punt return, and then he's got a chance to score on you. So you know what the game plan is. And what you have to do to beat Buffalo, or at least make it a game. So the one thing you cannot do is turn it over. Period. End of story. You can't throw picks. You cannot fumble it. And then when you're out there against Josh Allen, get him the third down and just take your best shot. And I think pursuit angles are going to be huge, especially against him. I would say light your hair on fire and go, but make sure you have somebody covering for you, because he can pick up and scramble and pick up first downs. The last thing you want to do is get them to third down and then have them pick it up time and time again to wear you out. So
like those Jalen Hurts easy escapes
correct.
For first down scrambles.
Those things. So, and I would never tell Jared Verse to take any smoke off his rush, or Braden Fiske. So, and not even Kobe Turner. So if you're not one of those three guys that's hot that day, then you are the cover man. Make sure that guy doesn't get out. But I cannot tell these hunters to slow down. We've got to get to him, because if he stands back there, he can throw it a mile too. So this will be a tough challenge for everybody that lines up on defense.
My biggest concern is the bootleg game defensively. Like, the Rams are going to do a great job stopping the run. They're going to be physical up front. They're going to set vertical edges. They're going to do all you need to do. But it's when they fake that and he boots out. That backside guy who likes to crash all the time, you're going to have to be able to get vertical and try to stop him, because that's where he's at his best, because he's not afraid to run. Like, to be honest, like, that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to throw the ball when he gets out, but he wants to run unless a guy is wide open. And so you have to force him to do what he doesn't want to do, which is crazy to say you want him to throw the football, but he's more dangerous to me with his legs than he is with his arm.
That dude that big should not get the benefit of sliding. That's just me. That's not fair.
Are you at all curious to see what temperament the Buffalo Bills bring to Los Angeles? And what I mean by that is they clinched early. Like, they just took their 5th straight division crown. But they're also playing for the 1 seed, and they're getting healthy, right? Whether like Coleman's back at receiver, Milano came back last week at linebacker. So they taking this thing to the next level, or are they taking their foot off the accelerator ever so briefly, having just secured their home playoff berth?
Yeah, they're about to put. I mean, you just brought Micah Hyde back. Like, you
already
know what this is.
Stand on the gas.
Yeah, they put this thing back in the third gear to get some RPMs.
NFL. Yeah.
How about this? The last Rams win against the Bills was 12 years ago with Sam Bradford against Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Wow.
The Rams' last home win against Buffalo was before MJD was born.
Oh, my God. My goodness. Wow.
83 in Anaheim.
Yeah, it's time. See, it's the due theory. Then the Rams are due.
There's been a lot of those, though, like Philadelphia and Los Angeles, Miami head-to-head against the – it's time for one of these to break in LA's favor. That's why I feel good about this week.
I think they're just – the one thing that's missing is just a spark. And like you said, if you can come out of here, come out of SoFi, beating the hottest team in the NFL, that might be the spark you need to galvanize for the stretch run.
I feel like they've already had their spark, though. I really do. I think in Philadelphia you had a spark. And I think that spark didn't really catch all the way, but, like, it's going to start – now you're going to start seeing kind of a little smoke. You know how you ever see you watch Naked and Afraid, where they kind of get the thing going, they have to get the spark first, and the smoke comes, then the fire comes. Yeah, it's time. It's time now.
More of a Bear Grylls guy.
Oh,
really? I know what you're saying.
Naked and Afraid is it's a little bit more. I mean, I could understand it. It's more. Bear Grylls has all these clothes on, all these tools. They don't have anything.
Yeah. Because it's championship week in college football and everyone's focused on the college football playoff rankings. It's time for the Rams to get that resume win, right? That's kind of where we started. Minnesota, great resume win. They need another one of those. Not because it's going to, get them up the rankings, but because it's going to make these final 4 weeks beyond, including Thursday Night Football against San Francisco.
It's a good help to have.
Let me ask you a question. Can I ask you one question? Let's say the Rams play their best game and then they lose by 1. How would you feel about that?
I would feel a lot like I did flying home from Baltimore last week. That's why the parallel is kind of close to home.
And we'll say they don't play a good game, but they win.
I will say this. Of the final 5, this is the least important game remaining on the Rams' schedule, if you know what I mean. It would be the most excusable lot. Like, I hate saying that out loud, but that's what it is. If you were to rank the final 5, I guess it's probably Arizona because you don't have a win against them yet. Seattle, San Francisco, Jets, Buffalo. That's probably off the top of my head what I would say. But why not get them all?
Yeah,
why not?
Win
Why not
this,
get 'em
you
all?
control your destiny. That's what I'm looking for.
I
Yep.
think we already did keys to victory. Anything else you want to tack on before I send this thing back to the interwebs?
Just don't ever bring up Naked and Afraid ever again.
What?
Why?
You never watched it?
I just saw you out there. in
No,
the woods.
no. Listen, that's the
what
one
I'm
thing.
saying.
You don't have to see me
Yeah,
out there.
That was the visual I had.
DeMarco,
Yeah.
DeMarco. Work too hard to be uncomfortable. That's what I did. There goes a motto for you.
See?
Work too hard to be uncomfortable. I just like watching people being uncomfortable. Though.
Look at how
It's
this man
awesome.
is dressed. Does he
See?
seem like he has any interest in being naked and
I'm
afraid?
just saying
bro.
that's the visual I had. Don't do that.
You
again.
gotta take the let your mind go there, man. Just like the Rams. Let's focus on Buffalo.
Nice.
For MJD, for DeMarco Farr, I'm JB Long. Hope you too can join us at SoFi Stadium. The Rams are 6-6. Is this the week they get above 500 for the first time? Thank you for joining us for an extended episode of Between the Horns.
This is solid. This is normal.
Normal.
Back at the normal length. As always, presented by your Southern California Toyota dealers.